So you're looking at the establishment of three different organizations. Congress under the leadership and under his vision in 1885. The Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental Education Conference, which was established in 1887 by Syed Ahmad Khan. Then December 1905. 1905? Yeah, it's 1905 is when, 1906 is when Muslim League is established in Dhaka. Now from 1885 to the Surat split of 1807 between the Naramdal and the Garamdal, the Congress is doing only two things. Give us more representation in the bureaucracy. Give us more representation in the bureaucracy. We want more sane policy making. And ensure that the examinations that are held for the civil services between England and India are the same, the pattern is the same, the syllabus is the same, everything is the same. That's all they were fighting for, nothing beyond. The fight between 1885 until 1905 was for greater representation in the bureaucracy to be a part of the colonial administrative infrastructure and gradually moving towards Swaraj. And Swaraj was defined as staying within the confines of the empire as its dominion. Between 1901 and 1905 or 1906 is when you see a serious emergence of the then right wing, or at least the extremist faction, by way of Bal Gangadhar, the Lal Balpal trio, and then you have Sri Aurobindo, and then you have Annie Besant, so on and so forth, who said that, what are we fighting for here? To ride on the coattails of the British? Or are we trying to regain our own Sanskriti? What is it that we want here ultimately? So there is a very clear fight here, which is why I would call them perhaps the forerunners of Indian decolonial thought in that particular sense. Of course, I know that the word decoloniality pricks quite a few, but still, I think this is how thought...
in your defense, you've defined it very well in your book.
I've been fairly clear about it. I think some people are just resorting to mischievous interpretation. So the point is that they wanted to base the entire movement on Bharatiya ethos and civilizational ethos. And they were very clear that this mirage called Hindu-Muslim unity would never be achieved, and even if it is achieved, it would come at the expense of our interests and to the advantage of their interests. Lala Lajpat Rai was very, very clear about it. His article on the case for Hindu nationalism is a must-read. And despite being, perhaps as an Arya Samaji, how he felt about it, he is very, very clear about it. Now, so until 1905, this is what they do. But the emergence of the extremists, who ended up becoming the thought leaders for the revolutionaries, such as Tilak for that matter, who perhaps may have also be hand in glove with the assassins of Scott, I think, the Chapekar brothers, who killed the plague commissioner in Pune for his mishandling of the bubonic plague in Pune. Now, while this was happening, for the first time, people realize that they've been fooled by the Congress, which is seen as a status quoist organization and which is interested in being a sharer or a stakeholder in power with the British, and beyond that they had no aspirations. And since even that movement was really slow at a snail's pace, it's the extremists who start getting a lot of support along with the revolutionaries, and they are the ones who are significantly responsible for pushing the Overton window. So the definition of independence or Swaraj is changed. The move towards saying that it's not about being a part of this establishment. We want them to get out of the place. And that conversation finally gets aired from the platform of the Congress for the very first time. Now, we have to be very careful about branding every member of the Congress as a collaborator, because unfortunately or fortunately, that happened to be the only significant political tent under which people could air their views. And since it enjoyed a certain degree of legitimacy in the eyes of the British, those who wanted independence too thought that they could actually be a part of this particular platform and push their agenda. So it was a big tent in that particular sense. Now, while all of this was happening, Muslims effectively see Congress as a Hindu organization, which the Congress never was. It was at pains to say we are a secular organization. Do not perceive us through the prism of the extremists or the nationalists, because it's a minority, it's a fringe, it's a lunatic fringe. They are cow lovers, and these are the people who are interested in preventing Go Hatya. They are the Gaurakshas of that particular period. So let us throw them under the bus. That was the position of the moderates. Now, when this happens, the Muslims effectively say the Congress has managed to create a political institution which seems to be getting a lot of traction from the British. While the Aligarh movement has done a great job of combining modern education and Islamic education, it is still a social movement, it is not a political movement. So they say we now need a political organization. And this conversation becomes sharper after the demise of Syed Ahmad Khan in 1898. So between 1898 and 1905, multiple events happen at the same time. Curzon arrives. He sees that, so he is deeply suspicious of the Congress, despite it being a collaborator organization. He says, no, these are stooges, they're double agents, you can't trust them, so on and so forth. So he says, I don't want to take a chance. I want to break that movement and I want to break its back. And I also have enough administrative reasons to do so. And because Bengal is such a huge, sprawling province, I will have enough justifications to break it for administrative reasons. And the commissioners of Assam are also saying that in order for us to use the port of Assam for tea export and whatnot, Calcutta's primacy as the port needs to be brought down, and therefore let's break it away. And only then the railway tracks that have been laid in Assam and other places will actually find economic value. How do we otherwise generate the ROI for the investment made in the railways in Assam and other places? So this is effectively the calculation there. And he makes an active pitch to the Muslims of Eastern Bengal and Assam. Your Mughalistan will be back under us. For the first time, you will have the Mughal flag flying after the decline of the Mughal Empire, if you were to agree to this particular partition. For 6 months, the man goes about selling that particular proposition. Almost without exception, that proposal is purchased lock, stock and barrel by the Muslim community. And once you have offered that, so let's say olive green branch, not the olive branch, so they are ready. And they say, now's the opportunity, and they latch on to it. And they push for separate electorates. And after pushing for separate electorates, when they succeed in the Minto-Morley reforms to get the separate electorates, by the end of that year, they establish the Muslim League. The pace with which the Muslim League moves after that, I would say the Congress was caught unawares. So what the Congress couldn't achieve from 1885 to 1905, Muslim League and its predecessors managed to achieve between 1905 and 1907. And this was the sharpness with which they moved, and this was the clarity with which they moved. I'm amazed. I have grudging, deep respect and admiration for what they achieved.